Oh, take my glasses off.
Well, hello there, and welcome to She Matters. We're so delighted you could join us, and we look forward to hearing from you. We're live, and we have the iPad. We'd love to hear from you this afternoon on whatever subject we're going to talk about, which I shall tell you in a minute. But let me introduce you first to my lovely cohorts.
Oh, cohorts.
Cohorts, co-presenters.
We're cohorts now.
Co-Christians. let's call ourselves co-Christians this afternoon. How are you, Edith and Simone?
I'm well. I'm well. Very interesting weeks. Things change every day, don't they?
They do.
Here in Spain, they change all the time.
It's true. Do you think they're changing more than usual?
Definitely. Definitely. Yes. We just have to keep up, don't we? We just have to keep rolling.
And isn't that a good analogy for our Christian walk as well?
Indeed.
Oh. Well, hello, Yemi.
We're on.
We're live anyway, that's another co-Christian. Back to the subject. Thanks, Yemi, for coming.
That was
just
water.
Thanks, Yemi.
I think it's proven the fact that we're
live television.
Exactly.
For you.
There you go. We know that you've been wondering, are they really live? Yeah. He just wants to be part of She Matters.
He was saying before the show, should we do a He Matters? And in fact, I think we will do a He Matters, because whether we like it or not, Yemi's coming on. I thought somebody else was coming on then.
Yeah, clearly. It's all right, we get the point.
We get the point.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's the ladies' time, just in case anybody knows. As I said, we're delighted to hear from you. And if you're a gentleman, please write in as well. So yes. And Simone, how are you?
Well, I actually think that was quite prophetic, you see, because we had our beautiful Edith saying how things change moment by moment, day by day, you know, and then Yemi just comes on, and I think we needed to see what that really means in our everyday lives. So yeah, there's no words. Yeah, no. Just be prepared for the unexpected.
And you know what the Bible says: pushing on, forgetting what is behind, straining towards what you are here to do in the first place, which is to discuss love. And I hope you saw the programme on last time when we were talking about God's love and how we all love in different ways, and we were talking about love languages. And I think the whole central part of that programme was all about the importance of love. Simone's got the giggles. Sorry. Okay, so but it's important. Do you know what? I think that more than ever, I really feel that God is talking to me about how important love is in the kingdom. And I don't know whether it's because we're women that we need to focus on how important that love is, because no offense to all you men out there, I know that you're probably, you know, filled with love, but I think you show it in different ways than we women do. And I think that women are very much a nurturing, I was going to say race, but a nurturing part of the kingdom. And I know that men can be too, so no offense to the men. Do you think that the way that we love is important in the kingdom?
Yeah, and definitely different, because God made us different, and He wants us to express that love in the way that He's gifted us.
Yeah.
So I think it's definitely going to be different, but then it can be different even between women. Yeah. You know, they have different ways of expressing love to those around them, their families, but definitely different from men.
And I do think that's why I think, coming back to what we were talking about on the last programme, which is once we know the way that we give love and we receive love, then I think that it's helpful for us to love other people, and also to know how that we receive love, because we're important too in the kingdom. But I wanted to go on today to talk about not using love as an evangelism tool, because that sounds so cold, doesn't it? You know, what do we do today? Well, you give out scriptures, you go and love some people, and you do some acts of service over there. Do you know what I mean? But you know what I mean, though?
Yeah. I think as well, like what you're saying, when we were talking in the last show about, you know, our love languages, and obviously we know that men and women are different, but then you've got different personalities.
Yeah.
So you get some, you know, some women that in their character express things in a certain way, and some men that express things in a similar way because of personalities, and then we've got all of our experiences. But I actually think that I think once we come back to the Lord, He puts us on a reset of knowing what He says about everything.
Yeah.
And so I actually believe that men can be more nurturing than they've been taught to.
Ooh.
Because, you know, God put Adam in the garden, and he was set over the animals in the garden, and to be a gardener is quite a nurturing thing. Because you have to be thoughtful, you have to pay attention, you have to look at the needs of what's going on. So, you know, there is a nurturing side, and I think sometimes the stereotypes that we have, that women are the nurturers, men are this, and sort of cultures can affect how we view things. Yeah, you know. So.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
And let us know what you think. As I said, we're live, revelationtv.com, and there's a text number on your screen. So let us know what you think. And I agree with that. I kind of, you know, I'm kind of just trying to think of somebody, a man. Well, I do actually know some men that are nurturing. How do you feel about when I say that love is the greatest evangelism tool, even though that sounds a bit cold? Yes. Would you agree?
Definitely. And because it all starts with God's love.
Yeah.
And I was drawing a little spiral before. Ooh. And of course it starts with God's love for us. When we, and I think the most difficult part is when we have to accept that God loves us, in spite of whatever we've done, in spite of who we are. And I think that can be the biggest obstacle for a lot of people. So, but it starts with God's love at the top. Then when we receive God's love and we can accept it and know who we are in Jesus and who we are in the Lord, and then we can give it out.
Yes.
But it all starts with God's love, because on our own, we can give love out, but it could be superficial, it can be selfish sometimes. Yeah. And it's when we get the powerhouse of love. Ooh, that's a good one, isn't it? Nice, powerhouse of love from God, then it's going to be effective. Then it's going to be sincere, and it's not going to be cold.
No.
It's not going to be cold, because, you know, God's love is so warm and deep and mighty. And when that oozes out of us, when it oozes out of us, then it's going to be warm, and it's going to be considerate, and it's going to be, you know, it's just going to be just right for the person or people that we're reaching. I had I was researching on this, and we were talking about agape love, and I don't know whether you've had any teaching. I know that during the course of my life as a Christian, there's been some teaching about agape love, but I love this, and it basically says agape is the term that defines God's immeasurable, incomparable love for humankind. It's unmotivated in the sense that it is not contingent on any worth or value, or it's spontaneous and heedless. It doesn't determine beforehand whether love will be effective or appropriate in a particular case. And the other thing that I love is it says another important aspect of agape love is that it doesn't rely on emotion. Now, I think that we all see love as an emotion, don't you? Oh, I love you, I love you, I love you. But actually to love somebody that, you know, doesn't deserve your love, and I mean, I think that's the thing is I look back on my life and I often feel like this on a daily, you know, there are some days when I feel like, oh God, you know, I'm so undeserving of this huge love that you give me. You know, and I think that is when, you know, people were loved for a reason, weren't they? Oh, you're funny and you're nice and you're kind and you're sweet and oh, I love you. But actually, God's love is like, well, I loved you when you were still far off, when you were grumpy, when you were sinning. Do we find it hard to love people like that?
I think it's like, you know, how much loving on it. Oh, hello. What happened there? Where did you go? It's come back now. Thank you. Yeah, you know, loving ourselves. I think, you know, how we judge people a lot of the time by our own measuring stick, and I think it's the same way with love oftentimes. And I often think, and I'm even on my way here today, and just thinking about the programme, that love is an action. It's an active word. It's not just a word. It's actually alive and active. So what does that look like? So we can look at Jesus then as our example and say that he didn't just say, oh, you know, I love you all. He showed it by what he did.
Yes.
So he took action and said, this is how much I love you because I'm going to deny myself. I'm going to come from glory and I'm going to give myself for you. So that's why we love him, because he first loved us and showed us in action. He didn't just say it in words and the actions didn't match up, or he didn't just show a feeling. Oh, you know. But it was the action that he took, and I think that's the thing that, you know, I think what we need to think about is sometimes we're focusing on the emotion, like you said, and that often stops us. Well, I don't feel it. You know, I don't feel like it. But actually pushing past our emotions by the help of God is showing love in action. You know, I could just go home today, but you know, I've got to go around Jackie's and I've got to do that thing for her. I said I was going to do it, and that's love because I could just please myself. And obviously if I was really tired, you know, you would say it's fine, Sim. But just going past that, that would speak to you, you know what, wow, she really does care. And that's showing, you know, so
it's totally selfless, isn't it? I mean, Jesus' love and God's love is totally selfless. And that's where we want to get to. But we can only do it with his love. Amen. We can only do it by being filled with his love and recognising that we are loved.
Absolutely. So let's look at the outside, or not even the outside, but people who see us as Christians, and what do they see? How important do they see is our love for each other? Let's have a look.
John 13:34 through 35. Am I loving my brothers and sisters and desiring their good? Jesus said, a new command I give you, love one another. As I have loved you, so you must love one another. By this, all men will know that you are my disciples, if you love one another. Insight. God's purpose for our loving others is so that they might come to know and glorify Him. So naturally, if you love God, you want good things to happen to others so they will also glorify Him. God showed us sacrificial love through the life and death of Jesus. We return sacrificial love when it costs us something to put others first. It doesn't always feel like a sacrifice because of the empowering grace of Christ and the resulting joy. The way we show love may differ according to our unique gifts, calling, and resources, but Jesus did say that we are to love each other the way He loved the disciples and us.
It is so important for all of us, I think, you know, to know and feel like we're loved. And I think what you were saying, Simone, about, you know, action is so important, because I have a friend of mine that says, oh, I judge myself by my intentions, whereas you judge me by my actions. And I always think, okay. She said, well, I intended to help you. I just didn't get round there. It's like, okay, well, you know, I didn't know that. But even if I knew that, you know, and I think that you can, like you're saying, somebody says, I'm going to help you, and they cry off one day, you know, but when they start crying off, you're like, you don't really care about me then, do you? Not that I'm having, you know, grace, and more grace, which is what I always say about everybody. But what do you, you know, if you think about your churches, what is serving each other? How important is serving each other placed? And then when you reach people, and this question to you too, when you're reaching people for the Lord, how important is serving each other, finding out what they need, as opposed to deciding you're going to tell them what they need, which is, you know, let me tell you about the Bible, you know, and there's that old expression about people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Your thoughts?
I think again, you know, God is, we're the Lord's arms and legs, you know, and his hands and feet. So people are not going to see unless something's shown. And it's funny how love and faith work together, you know, because faith without works. So it all ties together. And I think what you said before is really important, that if someone says, you know, they want to help or whatever, and then they just don't, it's like it's actually more loving to say, you know what, I do want to, but I can't right now.
Yes.
Because then that's the truth. And then we all know where we stand. So I think it's definitely important that we have grace, but I also think on the other spectrum of that is, right, it's loving for me to take responsibility then.
Yes.
That is also loving, because that's also part of the kingdom and part of the journey.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, and now I can't think what I was going to say.
No, that's fine, because we've got a couple of emails. It's perfect timing, Simone. Perfect. Okay, so Jackie writes in, and thank you for your email, for your emails, Jackie. Bless you. She said, it was the love of Christians that drew me and my daughter to our church. We have some beautiful Christians who welcomed us and accepted us from day one. They have literally been a godsend through lockdown with their phone calls and texts. God love in action, Jackie.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And I think that makes all the difference.
Right.
And I think lockdown's just been this perfect time to reach out to people, but also to reach out to people who don't know the Lord, say, are you all right? And then people are like, well, you're different. What's different about you?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, so it says, some of you lovely presenters say you've missed hugs in church, no name, but lovely to hear from you. Missed hugs at church during lockdown. Folk at my local evangelical church are not affectionate and hugs rarely take place. But it's great if you do belong to a church of loving people.
Yes. Oh, yeah, that's different. Yeah, we don't have to be huggy, do we?
But that's what this person's saying.
That's
and
right.
I think
we
that
don't
that's...
have to show with hugs. It's how we treat each other.
Yeah.
And as you were speaking, Simone, I'm thinking quite often showing love to each other in the fellowship is forgiving each other.
Yeah.
Because who gets on our nerves the most? It's our fellow brothers and sisters quite often.
Yes.
And it's a constant forgiving, isn't it? Asking the Lord for grace, asking the Lord for mercy. And I think forgiveness amongst one another will show the love of Jesus.
Yes.
Show the love. And that's what we want for people to be attracted to, the love we have for each other. I learned a song in Italian many years ago.
Oh,
I can
did you
still
Edith?
remember it. And it's all about, and they'll know we are Christians by our love. And that obviously is a scripture as well. So love, showing love to each other in the church, and those who come into the church, is so important. But not a mushy kind
Not
of...
a mushy love.
Not a mushy love, a genuine...
Some people like a mushy love.
I won't surprise you, but it's like a little bit of mushy, but it's got to have depth as well, hasn't it? It's got to have a bit of depth.
Oh.
Yeah, and I like what she said about the texts and the messages. That's really good.
But doesn't that again come down to what we were talking about last time, about how do you receive love?
Yeah.
You know, some people like a hug, some people really don't like a hug, so it's actually more loving to not hug them.
hug.
I know that sounds silly, but it is, isn't it?
Yeah, because you're being considerate of that person. You're not imposing your will on someone else. If someone says, you know, I don't feel comfortable, and they're not meaning to be horrible, they're just saying, I just don't feel that comfortable.
Yeah.
Then actually respecting someone is loving someone. And also, I mean, the Bible says greet one another with a holy kiss as well. So
That's a funny face. Do you not like a?
Oh, no, I'm just saying the Bible says about being affectionate.
Oh, I see.
Sorry, yeah, that we should show
Affection.
a physical affection. But obviously we know that people can go to some great lengths to really show that sometimes, and it may be a little bit too much for some people, a little bit inappropriate.
I'm seeing.
But I think the love languages, I think, is really so good, and I think it's something that really should be thought about more in churches, because then, you know, if we're together as a local fellowship and we're with this group of people all the time, then we begin to understand, oh, that's why Julie sort of recoils back when I want to, you know, show physical. Yeah, you know, and if we know that, if we know these things about one another, oh, that's why John just loves it when you come and bring, you know, his bag of sausages. You know. And just, he really means a lot. And you're thinking, oh, it's just a bag of sausages.
Yeah.
But I think it's those things, if we understand, it's understanding one another, and loving each other is taking time.
Exactly.
You know, if we're not taking the time, we're just, oh, whatever, it's all generic. But like you said, taking time is investing, and that is showing love, that is showing care. And that's what is different from us in the world, especially now where people are so busy, so just, you know, on their own agenda, and people are fearful. You know, we're going through a time where people are fearful to be near people, you know, and told to stay away. So that's even more. So when people are seeing you not operating under that fear and are being willing to even smile, you know, when you've got a mask on or say hello, you know, I think people have got masks on and not even saying hello. It's like, okay, I've got a mask on, so I can't say hello. It's like, no, you can do that.
But I do, you know, when I look back at, you know, even Jesus, when he went to you know, when he said to, you know, the fishermen, come with me and I'll make you fishers of men. Like he'd said that to somebody else, the tax collector, it wouldn't have made sense to them. But because they were fishermen, because those disciples were fishermen, they really, really appreciated the fact, I see you, I see that you're, you know, both of you are singers, but, you know, come and sing in my... But if he'd said, oh, can you, you know, come and...
Make a cake.
Make a cake. Thank you, Edith.
You know, I know where you go with that.
You see where I'm going with that, anyway.
I think it's just coming back to it is all about consideration and understanding, isn't it? So, seeing where that takes time. That really, and it's time that we do need to invest in. When we show that we're willing to take time and listen. Listening is another, isn't it? Paying attention, listening to what someone's saying, and then taking it on board, and then we can go forward with the love, you know, that they need.
And you know, we have to, and I think that's, you know, something that I think is so important is we need to prioritise ourselves, and we will be talking about, you know, is loving ourselves, is prioritising loving ourselves selfish, but we do need to prioritise getting God's love, because, you know, there's only so much, even if you can, I think you can give a measure of love when you're kind of a bit empty, because you know Jesus and you've got him inside you, but you know, the more full you are, the more you've got to give.
That's right.
And, you know, I love, if you look at the early church, you know, there was such a lovely picture of they were all together, they were selling their goods, they were sharing what they had. What a lovely picture of everybody looking out for each other's needs.
They had all things in common. No one had, you know, and even in Solomon's day, I was listening to something, it said that there wasn't any fatherless in Solomon's day, and there was silver piled in the streets. No one had need of anything. So how awesome is that? That there was no fatherlessness, and there was no one had need. They had so much that things were piled up in the street. Everybody had. You know, there wasn't anyone amongst them that lacked, and that is such a big thing for us, that there could be someone in our congregation that is really struggling, and really, you know, I've been in situations where people haven't wanted to even come out for a lunch because they don't have, and they feel embarrassed to say. So if we really, you know, are considerate of one another, it is about how much are we willing to say that we care. Would we sell our house? Would we do what the early church did? Would we say, no, you know what, okay, no, we're going to sell that, we're going to do that.
But I think also it comes down to knowing God and knowing God's wisdom, because I you know, how far are we from that situation now? And I think that if the Lord says to you, you know, even if you can't see it, give, and you have a peace about that. That's a wonderful thing, and it's a joy and a blessing to share what you have. Okay, emails. Oh my goodness, lovely to hear from you all. Great to see the three beautiful, godly women. And Angela says, I noticed the additional soft furnishings you have added to the red couch. Yes, we do like to come and bring our own thing. Thank you, Edith, for explaining God's love in the spiral sketch. So helpful. I'm praying for the love of God to flow through me to reach others. And isn't that it?
Yes, it is. It is.
Okay, and somebody says she just wanted to okay, she says she's talking about her marriage. She says we're both Christians and we're spirit-filled. However, my husband goes into complete silence when he doesn't get what he wants. I feel at the end of my tether and have now decided to take a tough love attitude, and I wish we had the time to deal with that, and please call the office if you want to talk about that. But you know, I think that once we learn God's love and we learn how to love, it makes all the difference. And I mean that for your husband and us as well, because sometimes we, you know, we need to look at ourselves. Part
of receiving God's love, I think, again, when we receive it, then hopefully the selfishness within us dissipates. Oh God, I've got all the words today, haven't I?
Oh, I tell you, Edith,
I think I must have been in a dictionary this morning.
That's what you did. Yeah.
But no, it's true, isn't it? We are basically, we're selfish. You know, before we come to know the Lord, we're totally selfish. And bit by bit, he takes that selfishness away. But it's knowing that his love is totally selfless that helps us to receive it. And then we think, okay, I can, you know, I can give of myself because God gave everything. Jesus gave everything. And it's just having that awareness. And I think, again, it's part of the journey. It's part of the journey. So I would just keep praying that perhaps he will understand more and more. He will have the revelation of God's love. And I think actually sometimes it's harder for men, you know, to receive God's love. We've all heard of the Father's heart of God, you know, and how important that is. And I think sometimes it's harder for men to do that, obviously depending on his own father. But I would just keep praying that he will have that revelation that God loves him. He really loves him. And he wants him to love his wife in the same way, because it says that, doesn't it, in the Bible? It does say.
And there's a wonderful book by Stormy, I can never say her name. O'Martian, but it's a wonderful book, and it's called The Power of a Praying Wife. And I think that as marriage is such a huge thing, but yet we, it is something that we really need to invest in and pray into. And I feel so much for you, whose name we won't say, but I do feel so much for you. But one of the many things that I've learned is you never know what's going on behind the scenes, even with your spouses or whatever, do you? So compassion and love. And I can remember somebody said, we do so much in ministry that we wouldn't do in our own home. Oh, can we give you a cup of water? No, I'm not making a cup of tea. You know.
Get up and get it yourself. No, it's so true. It's you know, it's getting that, I think, that balance and really seeing the heart of God, which is God first, our family second, and you know, then our ministry. That I believe that our family is our first ministry. Because those are who God has given us to be responsible for. And to look after. And as he gives us, as we do that, then he can enlarge us and increase us. So
wonderful.
I definitely think that we should concentrate a lot on taking time out and investing in our family, and it's where it's the hardest.
Exactly.
So that's why it's easier to focus on other people, because it's the biggest price.
And great teaching ground right there, isn't it? And then it comes. And then, of course, what about ourselves? What about loving ourselves? What does God say about loving ourselves? So we'd love you to join us next time when we will be talking about loving ourselves. Do we make it a priority? Is it selfish? And is it something that God wants us to do? So it's been lovely to hear from you today. Lovely to be with you from all of us. And we look forward to seeing you next time. God bless you.
Can you guess what's scaring Kemma? She's just 8 years old, and she's terrified of marriage. She knows she could be forced to marry even though she's still a child. It's wrong, but it happens, and it destroys precious childhoods. Girls like Kemma suffer terrible abuse. Being pushed into adult life far too young could leave them traumatized. Will you sponsor a child like Kemma with World Vision to help free them from this terrible fear? Please call 0800 035 4404 now, or text HELP4 to 70111 to find out how. You could help protect a child from the abuse of forced marriage. You'll help her stay in school and enjoy a real childhood. By sponsoring a girl or boy with World Vision, you'll also help us work with their whole community to make it safer for every child. Sponsorship is wonderful. It's a heartwarming experience that will inspire you and your whole family. And you'll love seeing your sponsored child grow and flourish. So if you've ever thought of sponsoring a child, please call 0800 035 4404, text HELP4 to 70111, or search World Vision Sponsor. You could nurture a precious child like Kemma and give her a life where she never has to be afraid again.